TunePocket.com.
Again, for today, we have Mayor Sara Duterte as our guest, and our theme is Power in the City. Bakit wala silang sound? We can hear you. Okay, now I think they can already hear us. Pero you can hear me, Mayor
Yes,
Sara, right?
I'm okay with your sound.
All right, so for our first question, all right, Mayor Sara, when you were elected as Vice Mayor of Davao City in 2007, you said in your speech directed at civil servants that you abhor stupidity and mediocre work. Since when did you develop this drive for excellence?
Oo, that was when I was elected as Vice Mayor because we all know and we all see what we don't want to see in government. Ang lagi na complaint ng mga tao is, number one, tamad ang mga nasa gobyerno, hindi sila efficient, hindi sila effective. So of course, even ako as a citizen, yan din ang ayaw ko na makita sa government. So of course, we should campaign always to government employees and other public officials to be efficient and effective public servants.
Actually, when I talk before with people from Davao City, they say na you're very strict pagdating sa government work, na parang meron, ewan ko, can you confirm this? Parang kahit yung mga TV pinaalis nyo sa mga offices, parang you just wanted people to focus on work?
Yes, oo. Ganun kasi dapat, not even in government, even in private offices and establishments, you see it, no, the drive to provide excellent service. Yun kasi dapat ang goal ng public officials and government employees. Hindi yung parang yung tao pa yung mag-adjust sa kanila. Dapat yung government yung mag-adjust sa kung ano yung hinahanap ng mga tao sa kanila.
Thank you. Mayor Sara, you appear to be very soft-spoken, yet we all know that you are also very fierce. Do you see yourself as someone who speaks softly but carries a big stick?
Actually, yung totoo talaga, I'm quite shy and reserved.
Oh, okay.
Of course, my friends would say that, oh, no, she's not shy. But I talk when I am with friends, but with acquaintances and strangers, I'm usually nagka-clam up ako. So, yan yung isa sa mga challenges ko. And then another thing is, meron akong stage fright.
Really?
Yes. Severe. Oo nga, no? Hindi niyo napapansin. No, I have severe stage fright na tulad nito. I don't usually do interviews, but I did this for you because I wanted to thank you for all your help to our President Duterte, no? Kasi yun nga, grabe yung stage fright ko, and it takes a big effort for me to speak, to talk, to go on stage, to talk to people. So malaki na effort yun sa akin. Through the years, natutunan ko na rin siya medyo i-refine. But I'm sure yung mga people who see through yung persona ko on stage would see na medyo anxious ako, pinapawisan lagi, ganon, because of the stage fright.
Pero this is quite a revelation kasi we have always seen you as very fierce, very confident, and you know, I was about, actually I invited you for our last session about being alpha personality, and then, pero how do you manage this? Kasi you're always like in the face of the public. So how do you balance yung, I think this is gonna be helpful for a lot of people who has anxiety problem facing the public. How do you handle this anxiety, Mayor Sara?
I just suck it all up and then put a face and then go out there. I have to share this with you, an experience of mine. So I was a neophyte. Ay, hindi na rin ako neophyte nun because I was already running for mayor, and in one of the campaign rallies, sa sobrang hindi ko naayos yung sa loob ko, I was talking incoherently, I was not making sense, and nalilimutan ko kung ano yung mga points and na dapat ko sabihin, na after the campaign, after the rally, my President Duterte really talked to me. Sabi niya sa akin, "Are you drunk?" Sabi ko, "No, no, no. Are you, what is wrong with you?" Sabi ko, hindi ko so, of course, my father has a very strong personality and I'm sure wala siyang stage fright. So hindi ko masabi sa kanya noon. And then he said, he told me na, "Look at this person, look at this candidate, look at this person. Kita mo ba siya? Mas magaling pa siya sa iyo eh." Yan. So yun.
Ano ka lang talaga?
I'm soft-spoken because I'm very reserved na tao, and malaki yung stage fright ko talaga. So that when I go out, it is really an effort sa akin na magsalita, makipag-converse, to carry a conversation, especially with acquaintances and strangers. With friends, wala naman problema eh, kasi kaibigan eh.
So do you consider yourself as an introvert rather than an extrovert?
In a sense na I do not easily make friends, siguro, yes, oo.
Kasi
My circle of friends are very small dahil yun nga, medyo hirap ako makipagkaibigan, mag-reach out. It's really a challenge, especially na because of my work as a politician.
yeah.
So it's a everyday challenge for me. Na ganun yung personality ko, and yet the demands of my work is quite the opposite.
Pero yun na nga, as a mayor, right? Kasi iba yung, as Sara Duterte, na you do have stage fright and then you balance this like this. Pero as a mayor, parang you're expected to like interact with people a lot. I think more than any politicians, right? Na, kasi you are in the city, yan yung parang the highest government official na accessible sa mga citizens. So how do you manage that? That you interact with people every day? And parang naisip ko na parang napakahirap for you.
Mahirap talaga. And yes, kung makikita niyo yung the way I am in 2007 and the way I am ngayon, 2020, malaki na rin yung nagawa ko to improve that part of me, na mag-adjust ako. Kailangan ko mag-adjust para sa trabaho ko.
Okay. I want to know about your decision-making process. Kasi, it's the decision-making is at the heart of the work of every politician, right? Especially those who are in an administrative position like a mayor. So can you walk us through your decision-making process? What factors or aspects do you consider before you make a decision?
Okay, so number one, I usually go back to the law, check what the law is all about.
As a lawyer, right? As a lawyer.
Yeah, what the law is on a specific issue or challenge or problem, and then I check studies, mga best practices, benchmarking, and previous studies on that matter, and then I ask around, especially those who are experts on the topic. I ask them what they think, anong opinion nila, anong sa tingin nila, and based on their expertise, anong dapat gawin, and then I make a decision.
So does it take a while before you make a decision? Or it depends on what kind of decision?
It really depends on what the issue is. Yes.
Okay. So do you have like a general idea na if an issue is like this, then I don't need to take so much time about this issue, but if an issue is something like something else, then you need to take a while before you make a decision. So
usually when it is about local governance and the law, mabilis na ako. I only just parang seek out the opinion of the city legal officer. Siya na lang ang tinatanong ko. But when it is something outside of local governance or the law, I usually consult many other department heads or heads of offices, or even consultants.
Do you consider yourself as a decisive person?
Yes. Oo.
Okay. So ano yan? Pag you made a decision, parang yan na yan.
Well, yes. Well, ang decisions ko naman hindi ko naman pinipilit kung ano yung gusto ko. Yung decisions ko usually are based on, yun na nga, sinabi ko, mga consultations, looking at other studies, what is the law about it. So, pag yun na ang napag-usapan na gagawin, of course, by sheer grit and determination, pinipilit ko talaga na yan yung susundin.
Do you consider the opinion of devil's advocates? Or gusto mo lang yung mga pare-pareho yung opinion? When you consult people?
Of course, when you consult a lot of people in decision making, meron talaga iba't ibang opinion. So nakasali na yon. And usually I do that so that merong iba't ibang look or iba't ibang perspective na nakukuha with regard to that issue or that thing that needs decision making.
So do you have like a designated devil's advocate? Yung mga tipo, ano mo nga ito? Ano mo nga itong decision na to? Kontahin mo nga, tingnan mo. Or
well, meron kaming mga ganyan na mga heads of offices, yes, oo, na kapag medyo alanganin, the city administrator would say na you run this by this person kasi baka isang side lang yung nakikita natin and he might see another side to this.
So you entertain like opposition to your ideas or maybe initial decisions?
Yes, opo. Oo.
Okay, so do you actually incorporate their suggestions?
Minsan.
Yeah. Pero what's your kasi di ba every politicians follow certain political ideologies and that actually informs their decision making, right? Some are some are more conservative, some are more liberal, some are more social democrat. Do you have a specific ideology, political ideology that you follow, or do you consider each ideology and try to find some balance?
Wala with me. Wala akong ganyan. I only go back to the local government code.
Okay.
Because yan naman kasi talaga yung trabaho ko, chief executive of a local government unit. So we always start with the local government code and move on to other decision making process.
Yeah. Pero meron ka bang mga value commitments at least when you make a decision na parang okay, these certain values should always be factored in any decision that I make?
Yes, oo. And it's still based on the general welfare clause. It's still based on the law and it's the general welfare clause. And basically, the Bill of Rights na ka-enshrine sa ating constitution. So usually, it's still based on kung ano yung batas.
So more focused ka sa general welfare ng mga
tao.
So how do you determine general welfare?
The welfare of the majority. Kasi lagi naman kasi talaga yan na ang isang decision is not for everyone. So meron talagang maaapektuhan or meron talagang hindi in favor of the decision. So we always go back to the general welfare clause and that is the welfare of the majority.
Pero kayo sinabi nyo na nga, di ba, na you always have to consider the majority. Syempre may minority. So paano yan na when you make a decision that you know that some people wouldn't like it or wouldn't be able or would not benefit from the decision, how do you handle that, you know, that situation? How do you feel?
Those are the things na hard decisions na kasali na sa trabaho ng isang local chief executive, particularly ng mayor. So, I do not know with others kung how they deal with it. Pero sa akin, sinasali ko na lang talaga yan na sa trabaho ko, there are really hard decisions to make and not everybody will be happy with your decisions as a local chief executive, especially that madaming magagaling na mga individuals out there.
Now, talking about hard decisions, every politician or every leader has what we call turning point or pivotal moment in their political careers. What do you think is your defining moment as a mayor?
Yes, ang defining moment ko is not a positive experience for me, no? Because every day I still cringe when I remember that event, and then hanggang ngayon nandiyan pa rin yung embarrassment and nafe-feel ko yung hiya doon sa humiliation that na nangyari sa akin, sa sheriff, sa judge, and sa Davao City at that time. So yung the incident with the sheriff noong July 1, 2011.
So yun yung defining moment mo as a politician. Why do you consider it as your defining moment?
Because doon ko natutunan yung never lose your self sa mga bagay na kailangan mong gawin. Kasi sa incident na yon, ang natalo is ako, yung judge, yung sheriff, yung Davao City, because it was played out publicly. And parang feeling ko napahiya lahat, ganyan. So, dapat, doon ko na-realize na in my work, you should be always in control of your emotions. Na hindi mo siya dapat ilapat doon sa trabaho na kailangan mong gawin.
Napakano nito ha, this is quite revelatory kasi parang for a lot of people, that is something that they like about you, yung narapakan ng sheriff. But for you, you consider it like a learning experience.
Yes.
You feel ashamed about it. You still cringe about it. Pero how did it make you? Kasi a lot of politicians, when I ask this question, they always say about a decision that they have made. Na parang it led to some dramatic turn of events, etc. But for you, it's your interaction with that sheriff during the time. Diba demolition yung incident?
Yeah.
What was on your mind? Can you walk us through what was on your mind when that happened?
Actually, hindi ko na siya maalala. It took me a long time to watch yung video, yung news clips noon.
Okay.
And I think dahil nga siguro sa galit ko, nag-blackout ako. Nahimasmasan na lang ako when I was talking to him, and then nakikita ko na he was injured. So I had, parang naisip ko na, ano ba nangyayari? Bakit nagkaganito kami? Parang ganyan. So I had to tell my staff to take him to the hospital kasi he was injured. So yun. That taught me na, and then after that, kasama ko yung mama ko. And then she was asking me, what happened to you? Sabi ko, hindi ko rin alam, mama, what happened. Kasi nga, it was not only the demolition incident, there was an incident before that is yung flooding, which killed 30 individuals. So parang nagpatong-patong siya lahat on that week for me and my work. And then, yun na nga. Parang I lost it and it was very embarrassing and it should not happen again. Sabi ng mama ko that time, sabi niya, alam mo, not all people are like you. So, hindi ka naman nila maiintindihan kaagad. Kasi if you are fast, not all people are very fast. So, you have to make an effort to make them understand your work and what you need to do.
So parang nakikita ko dito, Mayor Sara, na you are not uncomfortable with dealing with your mistakes. Is this part of your personality na or your leadership style na you don't shy away from admitting mistakes?
Oh, I usually say sorry when it is appropriate to say sorry. So, wala akong problema in making mistakes because obviously, I am not a perfect leader.
Ayun na nga, I'm really quite shocked na yun talaga yung incident, yun talaga yung isasagot niyo dito sa tanong na to. Kasi I was even thinking kung, should I ask about, Mayor Sara punching a sheriff when you were still a vice mayor at that time or mayor na po kayo?
Mayor na ako noon.
Mayor na.
My first term as mayor, yes.
So parang, I was like expecting yung mga sinasabi ng mga Davaoenyo na, na you kind of straighten out the bureaucracy. Parang yun yung ina-expect ko na isasagot ninyo about your defining moment as a politician. And then suddenly, you mentioned this mistake. So it's like kind of unexpected. So, yeah, I'm quite shocked right now. Mag-recover pa ako.
Yun yung parang naisip ko na you shouldn't be that kind of a leader. Yun din ng learnings ko doon with what people advised me after that.
Okay, so compromise. Punta na ngayon tayo sa mga nitty-gritty ng decision making. Like for example, compromising, right? Every leader must know when she or he should compromise. What for you would be the factors that you would consider before you make a compromise and before you don't make a compromise, right? When do you become tough in your initial positions, and when do you soften up?
Okay, sige. For me, I firmly believe that a leader should not compromise.
Okay.
Because magiging inconsistent ka and then you will lose your way. Kasi all things are paulit-ulit lang naman yung mga bagay sa local governance eh. So hindi ka pwede mag-compromise on one and in the same situation, iba na naman yung decision mo. So it has to be consistent. So when you compromise, nawawala yung consistency mo, nako-confuse ang mga tao and nagiging inconsistent yung leadership mo. Pero if we are to talk na kailangan talaga mag-compromise, you can para sa akin, you can compromise when it is for the general welfare, and you should never compromise when it will cause injustice.
Okay. So meron ka talagang so there are just certain situations that you think that you may be able to compromise, right?
Yes, oo. Kung sabihin natin na kailangan talaga mag-compromise, yes, you can compromise for the general welfare if it will mean that it will be for the good of the majority.
Okay. So yun
however,
na kailangan
yes, oo. However, kung mag-compromise ka and then it will cause injustice, even to just one sector or one group, I do not think na dapat mag-compromise.
So for you, you value consistency.
Yes, for a leader, dapat consistent ka talaga. So that people will believe you. Otherwise, if you compromise for the same set of facts, you compromise on the other, and you do not compromise on the other situation, and then pareho lang din naman sila, sasabihin nila na hindi na impartial ang decision making mo. So sasabihin na ng mga tao na biased ka na meron ka ng favoritism, mga ganon. So dapat kasi consistent talaga. Nakikita ng mga tao na, like say for example, kaibigan, there's one thing na kaibigan mo yan or hindi mo kaibigan yan, the law should be applied the same to both. Ganon.
Because mayor kasi kayo ngayon, so I'm thinking na since your father is the president, and I think how that his job as a president, and I think you're already exposed to what he's doing. So what do you think is the difference between your being a mayor and being a president? Kasi your father tried to compare the two before. Nasabi niya na parang president is simply like a mayor of an entire country. Or do you see any difference between the two based on your experience as the presidential daughter na na-expose sa trabaho na ng daddy niyo? Is it harder to compromise when you are a president than being a mayor? Kasi nga, di ba, mas maliit yung constituency ninyo, or do you think it's more easier?
Easier to be president? Definitely hindi. Siguro. No. Definitely not.
Kaya ka, di ba, ayaw patakbuhin yung tatay niya. No?
Definitely not. Oo. Hindi madali maging president. Kung sa trabaho naman, it's the same. It's an executive. So, you handle different offices. Mas malaki nga lang yung magnitude ng president because you handle offices, commissions, agencies, and dami instrumentalities of government, and they're all under you, particularly yung nasa executive department, no? And then you have to deal with the two other branches of government, the legislative and the justice, no? So, mas malaki yung magnitude ng trabaho ng president. And it needs lakas ng loob talaga.
Okay.
Habang nire-resolve mo yung technical difficulties mo, Sas, nakikita ko yung painting mo sa likod. Maganda siya.
Ano lang siya? This is actually a poster.
Okay. And then pina-frame mo.
Oo. Di ba ang ganda nung siya si Frida Kahlo?
Oo.
Na naninigarilyo tapos may bigote, etc. Maganda siya. Mura lang yan. Mukhang mahal.
Painting?
Hindi siya painting. Ano lang talaga siya. Mura lang siya. Mukha lang talaga siyang mahal.
Very nice.
Oo. Ayan, let's go back to our conversation. Ayan, nagbalikan na uli ang ating mga manonood. Regarding lesson, the greatest lesson that you have learned about power during your years of leadership. What is it? What is the greatest lesson?
Yes, it is fleeting and temporary.
Hmm.
So, it's not forever. Ang power ng isang mayor is only good for yung term niya, which is usually 3 years. And then, you don't know if you will be elected for another term. So, it's very temporary. So, it's good to use the power for the greatest good that you can do for the city, which is security and development, or peace, or others call it peace and development.
So, ano yan, Mayor Sara? Given na you know na power is fleeting, na temporary lang siya, how do you handle power then? Ano ba kayo, dahil lang temporary to, let's do everything that we can do na let's use it to the maximum level, or are you more like prudent in your use of power?
Well, sa akin, I want to maximize it in a good way.
Okay.
So, kasi ayoko rin naman na maalala ako, kasi nga temporary siya. Kung swerte ka, you have 9 years of uninterrupted 3-year terms, no? Pero kung hindi ka swerte, you only have 3 years, ayaw mo naman na maalala ka ng mga tao that you were a bad mayor. So, you really have to maximize it to do the greatest good that you can for the city, so that people will remember you for something good that happened in the city.
So what do you think people should know about the responsibilities of a mayor na they don't know? And are there any misconceptions you think people have about mayors?
Yes, oo. Madami dito sa atin.
Kulang ba ang panahon para sa misconceptions?
Dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, actually, madaming misconceptions about mayors and governors kasi parehong posisyon yun, no? Local chief executive. So, basically, kung ano yung nakikita ninyo sa local government code, nandyan yung what is a city about, what are the duties and responsibilities of a mayor. Ang dami-dami nun. Minsan nga, hindi mo na nagagawa lahat yan.
Okay.
Pero yan yun, dyan dapat umiikot-ikot yung trabaho mo and decision making mo. And then, misconception, madami. Akala ng mga tao, the mayor is parang overruler of all things.
Okay.
So, kasi I get this all the time. Yung pag sinabi ni mayor, okay na yan. So, ganyan. I'm sure hindi lang yan dito sa Davao City. I'm sure it happens across the country. Yung pag sinabi tawagan ninyo si mayor, kapag tumawag sa akin si mayor at sinabi niya, okay na ito, papalampasin natin ito, mga ganon.
How do you handle that?
Of course, hindi ko pinapayagan yung ganyan. I always tell them na dapat hindi niyo hinahanap ang mayor kasi meron namang batas, meron namang sistema, and if it's working properly, you shouldn't be looking for a mayor because both sides are wrong. A specific example, very recent, maliit ito na bagay kasi syudad lang naman yung hinahandle ko. So we have a problem with ASF, African swine fever. Oo. So meron kaming checkpoints all over the city because we're really trying to control it. Affected na ang Davao City, affected na rin yung mga kapitbahay namin. And then merong dumaan sa checkpoints, and then trying to explain kung bakit wala kaming papers, bakit ganito, bakit ganyan. So, of course, sa ASF problem, hindi talaga pwede kapag wala kang papel.
Yes.
Kaduda-duda na kaagad yan. So, here comes sorry, my baby. Here comes the inspector saying na, sige, tawagan ninyo si mayor kung sa tingin ninyo papayag siya, then walang problema, makakalusot ito. So both of them are wrong. Diba? Mali na nga yung tao na nagpipilit na mag-pass on, mag-deliver ng meat ng walang papers. Mali na rin yung tao or government employee na nagsasabi na sige, kapag pumayag si mayor, okay na ito. Because nandun na naman tayo. Hindi pwede pag walang papeles. So immediately sana dapat tapos na yon doon. Nung nakita nila na walang papeles, dinala na kaagad yun doon sa incinerator at sinunog na yung meat so that it will not contaminate other products.
So ayaw niyo yung name drop kayo na okay na, sabi ni Sara, okay na yan, sabi ni mayor. Ayaw niyo yung ganyan.
Ay, oo, madami yan. Oo. Yan, pinagsasabihan talaga namin yan. Hindi namin pinapalampas. Kasi nga, hindi naman yan ang trabaho ng mayor na mag-overrule ng batas.
Okay.
Ang trabaho ng mayor is the enforcement of laws ng chief executive, ng executive department. That's the enforcement of laws. So kung ikaw na mismo yung nag-overrule nun, hindi lang siya problema sa'yo, problema din siya para sa buong city na you are trying to manage and lead.
So paano pag may na ginamit yung name ninyo, na name drop? How do you handle it? Do you talk to them? Do you summon them in the city hall?
I usually find people who know them and then pinapasabihan ko na so, kung totoo man yan, you stop doing that. So, ganun usually. Very recently, meron kaming case na may decision na it happened in Manila. Ganun din. Sabi ni Mayor Inday, okay na ito. This was a dole case.
Labor
And
case.
then, and then a person called, pretending to be me actually. Kasi parang sinasabi niya, sige, talk to...
Oh, wow.
Yung isang kasamahan niya was saying, okay. Sabi ni Mayor Inday, okay na yan. Okay, we will call Mayor Inday and then you talk to her. Okay na yan, diba? Okay na yan. So good thing that the office in Manila, Dole office in Manila, confirmed it kung sa office ko. Tumawag agad sila sa office ko. Totoo ba ito? Because never sila nakarinig sa akin ng ganyan eh. So parang nagduda na kaagad sila na parang bakit suddenly may ganitong action si Mayor Duterte ng Davao City. So we filed cases talaga. So ngayon that case is on appeal doon sa sa mga suspects.
Mayor Sara, how important is a well-managed city in a country like the Philippines?
Oh, it's very important because if the city is stable, peaceful, livable, then it becomes a benchmark to its neighbors who can copy or improve on what you have. And if you have very strong cities, municipalities, and provinces, then you have a very strong country.
Do you find anything difficult to manage in Davao City? Or parang smooth sailing na lang kasi
Mahirap.
Mahirap din. Why? What do you find the most difficult to manage?
Because mataas kasi. Mataas ang standards ng Davao City when it comes to governance.
Okay. Is this something that your father instituted na ito dapat ang standard?
Yes. I think it was through all the years na from the killing fields of Mindanao. Naging ganito na kami ngayon. We are sorry sa mga kasama naming cities dito sa Mindanao, but the front runner for Mindanao at least.
Pero ano yung pinaka-difficult, the most challenging aspect ng cityhood ng isang city ang is challenging for a mayor? Let's say not for you, but for mayors in general.
Sa lahat, it's all the things that you need to do and so little money to use.
Okay. Funding.
Opo.
Resource allocation. Okay. So how do you ano ba kayo? Thrifty ba kayo na mayor or are you galante na mayor? Na okay, buhos dyan nag-funding kung ano yan, let's go. Or are you more conservative when it comes to finances?
Hindi ako conservative. Okay. So we usually have a plan.
Okay.
And then we follow the plan. So kung ano yung kakayanin ng let's say one annual budget and these are the priority projects, yun yung finafundingan namin. So para hindi kami nawawala at hindi kung ano-ano na lang yung mga projects na ginagawa, we follow the development plans of the city governments.
Pero yun talaga, ang challenge lang talaga is saan kukuha ng pondo.
Right, correct. And ako pa yung mayor na tipo na mayor na ayaw ko mag-utang. So never in my 3 terms ako nag-utang.
Bakit?
For projects in the city. I just feel na kung ano yung nandyan, yan lang yung gastusin. Para hindi tayo naghahabol ng bayad ng interest and bayad ng utang. So, kung ano yung nandyan, usually, ang nangyayari sa amin is that kung hindi kasya yung pera, ginagawa naming 3-year, 4-year development plan. So, we invest a small amount every year until matapos yung project. So, that is what usually happens. Ngayon, isa sa mga pinakamalaki na items dyan sa aming budget is yung pagbayad ng utang namin sa mga previous projects. But luckily, nagawa naman namin na on time kami magbayad, and we are targeting to be debt-free by 2022.
By
This is
2022.
Davao.
And are you on track to being that?
Yes. Oo.
And is this
We
under
are
your leadership?
And I'm so happy, very happy ako na wala na kaming hinahabol na malaki na payment sa utang and sa interest.
Mayor Sara, if you're going to reflect on your years of managing Davao City, is there anything you wish you could have improved better?
Oo, sa akin, it's the faster project implementation.
Faster project implementation.
Yes, oo. Kasi sometimes it takes 2-3 years para mapalabas ang isang project. And by that time, tapos na yung term mo, hindi pa tapos yung project mo. So mahirap sabihin sa mga tao na, natapos natin ito as a city. So yun. Yan isa sa mga things na hanggang ngayon trying to improve on how to make projects faster.
Pero saan yung bottleneck na nakikita ninyo doon sa mabagal na implementation ng project? Is it the disbursement of funds? Is it yung sa operational levels on the ground na tatamad-tamad ng mga tao? Or ano yung bottleneck na
madami ako nakikita na bottleneck. Unang-una is the procurement law ng Pilipinas. And then when you hurdle that, dadating ka naman doon sa implementation ng project. So sa amin, sa Davao City, we have last year nasa 10 billion yung budget ng Davao City. About 1 billion plus of that is infrastructure projects. And mahirap mag-implement ng 1 billion na infrastructure projects in just 1 year. Kasi lahat yon dadaan sa pre-bidding, bidding, implementation, construction, lahat yan sila. And sa tingin ko, masyadong maliit yung City Engineer's Office namin to handle so many projects. So dapat talaga siya i-expand so that each congressional district meron talagang nakatutok na mga tao doon para palabasin lang yung mga palabasin at tapusin yung mga projects.
Pero it seems na yung mga nabanggit nyo kasi, Mayor Sara, parang this is already outside your control. Di ba? Yung procurement process ng national government. Parang within your field of control, what do you think could be improved?
Sa governance ko, sa leadership ko. Hindi ko naisip yun.
Ano to very jeopardy yung pause, pregnant pause. Yes.
For siguro sa akin, it will really go back pa rin doon sa yung ugali ko na medyo hirap ako makipag-usap sa mga tao. So siguro yan yun.
Na very talaga kayo, meron kayong yung stage fright na tinatawag din, yung babalik ulit din sa
tsaka mahiyain din kasi talaga ako. Hindi halata.
Again, na parang this is something that I wouldn't expect from you. Na parang, Mayor Sara, mahiyain? Na parang, actually your information officer, di ba information officer niyo si Jeffrey Tupas. Yes, sabi niya sa akin na naku, ayaw niya ng limelight, ganyan. Parang si Mayor Sara natatakot magpa-interview, ayaw magpa-interview. Parang hindi naman parang hindi naman makatotohanan niya. Nagulat na siya, pumayag siya magpa-interview.
Alam niya yan. Kasi yun nga talaga, grabe yung anxiety ko. Usually kapag when it comes to talking to the public or public speaking, ganyan. Grabe yung anxiety ko. And you add to that na I'm very reserved na tao, or shy ba yung correct term na ganyan, and very private. So yan din yun sa isang mga reasons kung bakit nawala ako sa social media, because naisip ko na parang ganito na nga yung trabaho ko, tapos nakalatag pa dyan yung personal life ko. So tinanggal ko lahat yung social media ko.
Kaya pala wala na kay Instagram.
Because I wanted the privacy. Naisip ko naman na hindi na dapat siguro manggaling sa akin kung ano yung nangyayari sa buhay ko.
I would like to go back din sa anxiety niyo. Kasi I'm very sure now we have a lot of people who are also suffering, you know, who are also dealing with this issue na yung anxiety issue, especially with dealing with people, stage fright. Anong advice ang mabibigay niyo sa kanila? Given na I think you might be the first politician who admits na meron kayong stage fright. Then pa na you are the presidential daughter. So I can imagine na that would also add to your anxiety kasi nga 'di ba iba na yung dati Davao lang kayo, ngayon it's the entire Philippines. So what advice can you give to people who are dealing with anxiety?
Well, number one, you have to focus on what you do. So it will be a challenge and a limitation for you to be efficient and effective if you allow that fear, that anxiety to rule you. So dapat isipin mo talaga na there is something that I have to do, and I have to do this very good. So as I said kanina, sabi ko, you really have to suck it up, ilagay mo sa isang box, and then itago mo yung box, and then you just open it pag wala ka na, tapos na yung kailangan mo gawin. And then one thing also I learned through the years, kapag pinapawisan na ako and yung heartbeat ko, naririnig ko na sa ears ko, hindi na ako makapag-isip ng maayos.
So, ganun talaga yung anxiety nyo na you hear your heartbeat na?
Panic, yes. Oo, yung panic. And I learned that 10 deep breaths will calm you down.
10 deep breaths.
Okay. Yes, oo. So usually yan din ang ginagawa ko before I go on stage. So deep breaths, 10, and I learned na medyo bumabagal yung pintig ng puso. So medyo kumakalma.
So yun ang ritual ninyo para magkalma kayo sa inyong anxiety.
Yes, especially when speaking in public, yes.
Eto, Mayor Sara, ano na tayo? Final question na, parang pang Miss Universe question. Ito ang question. If you could talk to a young girl right now who is unsure of herself and insecure about her future, what would you tell her?
Okay, this is something that I tell my children. So I have a 12-year-old daughter, so every night, inuulit-ulit ko ito sa kanila. 4 things only. It's be kind, be humble, be happy, and always be careful. So, yan ang advice ko for all women. So you will never go wrong if you follow that 4 things.
Ano yung ulitin natin? Be kind?
Be humble.
Be humble.
Be happy.
Be happy.
And always be careful.
Be careful. Parang campaign slogan na to. Thank you so much, Mayor Sara, for this 1-hour interview. Pasensya na sa, I don't know kung paano tayo nagkaroon ng technical difficulties, but is there anything else that you want to say about, I don't know, sa mga viewers? Anything, any parting words?
Yes, oo. I'd like to wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, and I hope that your new year will be happier than your 2020. And mahirap po ang ating kalagayan ngayon dahil sa pandemic. But meron nga kasabihan na nothing lasts forever. So walang forever sa pandemya, and hopefully soon everything will be better and we can go back to our lives before the pandemic. But let's look at the dark cloud as if it is the silver lining.
One last question. Before tayo magpaalam, Mayor Sara, are you optimistic about the future?
Of course, yes. very optimistic about the future. Merry
Ayan.
Christmas.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas then, Mayor Sara. And I wish you all the best with your work as mayor. This is your last term, right? Your last term as mayor. And
Second term pa. I can run again for a
ano,
third term.
one more term pa. Okay.
Yes. Apo.
Ayan. Thank you so much. Good luck with your future endeavors. Kung ano man siya, I'm very sure you would succeed. And yeah. And thank you. Thank you sa mga nanonood. Yung part 1 nito is hanapin nyo na lang sa page ko and sa YouTube ano ko kasi nga naputol kami. Pero dito na nagtatapos ang ating interview. It's been 1 hour and 8 minutes actually. Nag-overtime na. Pero thank you so much, Mayor Sara. I really appreciate your presence.
Thank you. Ingat kayong lahat.
Thank you. Bye.